good if you want to be as aggressive as you need to be to get back to the front.
Yeah, and if you want to give the crew chiefs an extra night to sleep on a plan, the plans will be wide and they'll be various. There'll be guys that work on fuel, but you talk about handling. So when you do come to pit road, how much time do you take? Is it normal air pressure around a wedge, or are we going to see some major changes? Shock adjustments, spring rubbers, all these really detailed changes we wouldn't normally see. It's going to be interesting when the field rolls off.
It's supposed to be hotter today than it was yesterday. And again, as Jeff mentioned, this race is now going to be run in the heat of the day as opposed to running under the lights here in Daytona. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Well, Rick, it's been hot and humid here in Daytona, which means these drivers need to hydrate. There are 7 drivers who are trying to pull double duty today. 250 miles here this afternoon, and then 400 miles this evening in the Coke Zero 400. One of those drivers is Joey Logano, as you see on that graphic right there. He's going to try and pull the double duty this afternoon. So, Joey, any consideration given to the fact that maybe not run this race and just save it for tonight?
No, not me. I want to race. We started this thing. I got to finish it. So it's going to change for sure. The track's obviously going to be quite a bit different when the sun's out. But we practice during the day, and we have a general idea of it's just going to be slicker, and that's just going to change the pack up a lot. You know, last night there was a lot of grip, and everyone was real tight together and too wide, and it'd be kind of interesting to see how this one plays out. It should open up a little bit more, and maybe some moves to be made, and a lot more slipping and sliding. So the strategy may change as well.
Who does that slipping and sliding and the different track conditions kind of favor? Does it favor experienced guys like yourself?
Sure, I'd like to think that. That sounds good. We'll go with that one.
All right. What do you do, though, when you have to run during the day, unexpected like this? Do you hydrate as much as you can in the morning? Because usually you like to hydrate 2 or 3 days before, correct?
Yeah, you know, and it's been tough, too. I mean, shoot, even just qualifying yesterday, I think I sweated as much as a race. It's so hot out. And so, yeah, I mean, just drink as much as I can. I think a lot of Coca-Cola and a lot of water as well, just to try to stay hydrated for you know, this race, but obviously to be prepared for the Cup race later on today, which is the big one.
Kelly, going to be interesting to see how these 7 drivers do this afternoon, because they have 400 more miles tonight.
Yeah, for Ryan Reed, his focus is right here on these 250 miles. Ryan, 2-time winner here at Daytona. Both of those were day races in February. Yesterday you said you were looking forward to winning one under the lights. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, but maybe a good omen for you to be back in the daytime?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just said that. I don't really care when I win, day, night. Well, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to stand back in victory lane. So I think that, you know, for us, we practice on the day, so we have a good feel for what our car is going to do. I think there's going to be a lot less grip, and handling's going to matter a little more now. It's pretty warm out, so really I just want to get this thing started. You know, I think the rain delays make you so antsy, and they just, you know, so much anticipation that everyone's ready to go. And so hopefully we can get this thing started and get another, you know, 89 laps in, and hopefully see this number 16 back in victory lane.
Yeah, we're hoping for 89 more, but we know that there's weather in the area. What have you and your crew chief, Phil Gould, talked about in terms of strategy? Are you hoping for the length of the race, or you maybe try something in case it ends after 2 stages?
I think it's just being aware. You know, he's going to keep an eye on the radar, and I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to race, and I think, you know, if I need to get aggressive because rain's coming, I mean, down here, you know, cells and rain can pop up and form so quickly that I think that the best thing I can do is just focus on my task at hand, let Phil and my crew chief, Adam, you know, focus on that, and they'll let me know. If I'm running 10th or 12th or 15th and I need to get aggressive and start making moves, then they'll give me that information and we'll go from there.
All right, well, Ryan Reed started the race 12th yesterday. He'll restart 6th, Parker.
Thanks, Kelly. Well, I'm with Blake Cook, who took the lead last night from starting in the 4th position. You had a lot of speed in this race car, but your crew chief, Chris Rice, told me that you actually had downforce put in and were surprised by the speed. Were you surprised by it?
Well, I did my best lip reading there because the jet charges went by, and but we do have a fast leaf filter gutter protection Chevy. Even though we focused more on how it would race, it still qualified in the top 5. And we made our way to the front pretty quick, and we were able to put a nice little gap on the field. So we're hoping to take the lead again on this restart and just keep that leaf filter Chevy up front where it belongs.
And we know that today is a day race. It's going to be hotter. It's going to be slicker. You got your son Carter here for some emotional support. Are you prepared for this? Have you been hydrating? How hot this is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I start hydrating last Sunday. I mean, I don't stop hydrating or working out and getting ready. But my son Carter gave me a pep talk yesterday. You know, we watched Cars 3, and he said, "Dad, if you're going to win this race, you need to go faster than Storm," is what he told me. And then we went out and took the lead, so it was a good pep talk.
There you go, guys. Dave, he's getting pep talks here from his son to go out there and get the lead.
Well, Daniel Suarez is getting at least that from his sponsor here. How about, you need a bigger one of these for today, I think. You're running 2 races.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, we have a half race yesterday. Well, it wasn't a half, right? So today we have a half Coca-Cola here.
That works for me. Hey, you've done the double before with the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. Are you concerned at all today about your fitness level and hydration and staying in for all day and all night?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. As you know, I have done the double before, the same weekend, the same day too, between trucks and Xfinity. But Xfinity and Cup is different. As you know, the racing Cup is pretty long, and the humidity here in Daytona is beautiful. So for sure, it's going to be a new challenge for me and for some of these drivers. I feel like I'm good. I'm in good shape. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how this play out.
Let's talk about your opening strategy move. You're now 4th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you really want to pit and go all the way back there somewhere?
No way. No, if you're in the front, you have to stay in the front. You know, that's the plan. So far, we had a little taste of how strong is our 18 Interstate Toyota Camry, and I'm looking forward to race here and to keep ourselves in the front. I think that's going to be important to try to stay out of trouble. Normally, I get in trouble here pretty easy, so I will have to control my destiny staying in the front.
Okay, Rick, possibly staying out on this first pit stop, but he'll do whatever his crew tells him.
And that's a smart driver. Listen to what your crew tells you. And there'll be differing strategies. Like guys, Ryan Reed, Justin Allgaier, William Byron, all with wins already in 2017 and locked into the playoffs. Big names still looking for that first win of the season.
Why are you standing next to that car like that?
Oh, it's my new ride, baby. You like it?
Really?
Let me get that for you.
Powered liftgate.
Oh, smart powered liftgate.
Oh, good. Hey, how much did you... Sure. Wireless charging, of course. In what world can we afford this?
The world where I get to pick the payments.
You did the thing that I did.
Oh, do you know what else was in our budget?
What? Oh, she got the turbo.
It's true. You can get everything you want when you pick your payments with Kia.
Hey, I noticed your car's not in the driveway.
Yeah, it's in the shop.
I should have taken it to Midas. They'll tell you what stuff needs fixing and what stuff can wait. High five.
Visit Midas for our $39 oil change plus, including oil change, tire rotation, brake check, and more.
I mean, there's no point painting my new place because I plan on moving in like 5, 6, 7 years. Total waste of time.
Need a good reason to get started. Buy one, get one free. Offer ends July 9th. Only at your local Deluxe Paint Store.
Canadian summers are meant to be shared.
Pausa. Aqui a quem quiser versão Canadian Stream Shall Rain. Esse canal aqui tem streaming original, som de original. If you want the original audio, you can follow there. Aqui US streaming.
Amiodarone with Harvoni can cause a serious slowing of your heart rate. Common side effects of Harvoni include tiredness, headache, and weakness.
Ready to let go of Hep C?
Ask your Hep C specialist about Harvoni.
Subway footlong sub of the day for just $6. A different delicious sub every day of the week for only $6. Take a bite out of that.
Jay's back.
Once a racer, always a racer.
You never know who he's gonna meet.
Good, let's take it off. I'll drive.
Jay's living the dream. Jay Leno's Garage, Wednesdays at 10. CNBC. Get yours.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. This facility is so massive that it was actually raining just in 3 and 4, and that's what the Air Titans and the jet dryers are working on. The sun is now shining in 3 and 4, so that's going to help out. The temperature 86 degrees, a little bit of a light wind. The track temperature 123 degrees.
Well, that temperature seems good at 86, but feels like 99, which with this humidity, really feels like about 105. But we talked how this race was red flag last night. Well, with a overnight red flag, it changes what the teams are allowed to do. NASCAR posts a list, and basically the teams are allowed to, clean their race car and prepare it. They're allowed to work on the grill tape, Jeff, in case it gets wet, tire pressures, service all the driver equipment. That's air conditioner, helmet, radio, anything that really would affect the driver. They're warm the engine. It's the fourth one on the list that I think is pretty interesting, Jeff. They can add an additional duct in the right rear quarter window to put some fresh air to the driver.
I like that one, Steve.
I figured you would.
The problem with that one is it adds drag to the car as well. It can have some positive impact on how the car drives. It can actually make the car have a little bit more grip, but it certainly adds drag to the car. So, as in anything at super speedway racing, if you're going to get something, you have to be willing to give something up. To get the driver a little bit cooler, you've got to be willing to give up a little bit of speed.
But does that affect these cars as much when they're in a big pack? I mean, that drag that you're talking about, is that going to affect them when they're working with other cars to move through the pack?
So here's the problem. You never know when you need that just a little bit of speed.
Sure.
So you're coming to the start-finish line, you get beaten by 3 inches. What if you didn't have that extra drag in the car? And we've seen these races decided by inches, Steve. Right. So you just don't want to give up anything.
Well, the other interesting part is not only does this duct right here take air into the car, but you see the black hose connected to it running down. Where you run that black hose, where you decide to point the air, whether it's kind of open-ended or run into something maybe in the seat, can actually affect the handling a little bit. We talk about how sensitive these cars are. As that air goes in that quarter window, that changes the aerodynamic balance. So on a hot, slick day, some crew chiefs might open it. I know this is hard to believe, Rick, but they don't probably care much about their driver, but they do care about the handling of their race car. So if they feel they could improve it by opening that duct, they would.
I wasn't surprised.
We care about our driver, Jeff.
I wasn't surprised. But hey, listen, I mean, here you can see this. This car has two NACA ducts in it, right? And there's a decision that has to be made. Again, this, as I mentioned, there is some driving, there's a help in the way the car drives. And we talked about it when we came on air. It's going to get slicker today. They have not been in this situation. I know they practiced yesterday in the heat, but they weren't 36 cars. There was like a group of 8. So the world's going to change. And if you're thinking that handling's going to matter, then maybe that little bit of drag's worth giving up.
Well, Jeff, we heard Ryan Reed. He was just talking with Kelly, but last night he said, my car was a little on top of the racetrack. And we both looked at each other like, oh, man, if it's already on top of the racetrack now, it's going to be worse during the day. But this is a good sign right here.
All smiles.
All smiles and climbing in. I was more excited to see these drivers call to their race cars, climbing in. That tells me the track is getting closer. Ready to see some cars on track, Rick.
A driver is always going to smile when he gets to climb into his race car. Parker?
Well, except for sometimes when it's this hot. But that car behind me, the 7 of Justin Allgaier, they elected not to use that extra duct. Not because he's just a tough guy, Justin Allgaier, but remember they have these cooling units inside these cars, and those are very powerful. And I can tell you, as a driver, if you add that little bit of extra air that might come from that second duct, it's very hard to feel that. It might be a minuscule amount, but then you could be giving up performance that these race teams feel like they don't need to gain. So this 7 car has elected not to use that duct, and I can say I don't think that's a huge issue because knowing how powerful these air conditioning units have become and how much these drivers work on physical fitness, I just don't think that that's a big issue for them in terms of the driver getting too hot, and it doesn't help that much.
We continue to use the word air conditioning. There's not a compressor on these engines that is actually pumping cold air through an air conditioning unit on these cars. But there are these hoses that we're seeing that go, and some people have a cold box also to cool the drivers off.
So primarily, and you can see the hose. You can see the hose right here. Primarily, those hoses hooked to the helmet, and there's a helmet air conditioner. It just cools the helmet, but the theory being cool the head, cool the rest of the body. And it is, you when you're driving a car, you're thinking it's not working, like there's something wrong with this, and you turn it off, you know, whoa, it really is working. I mean, it's amazing how hot it gets inside these race cars. It cools at about 20 to 30 degrees is what it cools it. So on a day like today, 90 degree, maybe you're getting, at the best case, in my opinion, is you're getting 70 degrees. I say it cools it to 30. I never felt that, but it certainly is a huge help, especially with enclosed helmets. You have enclosed helmets. You see that skirt around the bottom of his helmet. That covers the neck area. You don't get any air whatsoever. So that air going into your helmet is a blessing.
Okay, so the drivers are in their cars. They're getting ready to fire the engines. 11 laps had been completed last night. They'll go around the track one time, and pit road will be opened for anyone that wants to come in. Now, we've heard some of the drivers who are up front say, you know what, I don't want to lose this track position because the end of the stage is going to be approximately 15 laps away. What will the strategy be for these teams, and where's the cutoff line of who comes to pit road?
Well, that's the magic word, the cutoff line. What I mean by that is the strategy is not going to be the same for the entire field, and it never is, and it's not the right answer for the entire field. That's what makes race strategy so much fun, is we are guessing that there's only going to be a caution at the stage end. We don't know if there's going to be accidents. It's great to come in and get fuel and try to race for the end of stage 2 until they all pile up down the backstretch on the restart. You heard Daniel Suarez say, no, when I'm out front, I stay out front. So I do expect the front 6, maybe 8 cars, that's 3 or 4 rows on the restart, to stay on the racetrack. They've worked for those front starting positions. They want to keep the air on the car. That cleaner air towards the front is the best thing to help the hot slick conditions and the handling issues these drivers are going to face. But if I'm in row 5, 6, or back, I'm coming to pit road, putting tires on, and making adjustments. There has to be things these crew chiefs can do to improve their car, whether it's air pressure, different tape. There are definitely adjustments they will make for the heat of the day.
The other thing, Steve, that's making it difficult is we've talked about rain in the area. Well, we don't have one front that's moving through. We have what looks like to be a lot of little storms and showers all around the racetrack. So if you're a crew chief and you're looking at this, how do you determine, like, okay, I think the caution's going to come out in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour and a half. There's so many little storms, so that complicates the crew chief's decision.
In July, pop-up showers are almost expected, and that's what we have seen already today, a little bit earlier. That has been cleaned up in 3 and 4. The engines have just been fired. Let's go back down to Marty.
That's right, Rick. The engines have been fired down here, and it really depends on your agenda as to whether or not you're going to pit. Like Eric Jones and his race team, they have nothing to lose. They pit now, they can make it to the end of stage 2 and hopefully beat some of those storms we just saw. Elliott Sadler and his team, they're the championship leaders. They want bonus points, so you're going to see a real split strategy here. Elliott Sadler wants to win stage 1, so they'll likely stay out, but guys like Eric Jones, Joey Logano, they may pit on this caution. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think we're going to see about half the field pit, half the field stay out. It's going to make for an interesting race when we do go green.
Marty, I think what adds to that interest level is we have seen in the Xfinity Series, we've seen wrecks coming to these stage ends. We've also seen there's a history in NASCAR when you have potential rain-shortened races, the intensity level gets picked up quicker. So now you have a stage end coming that pays points, and you have rain in the area. So the intensity level at the start of this race is completely different than what it would have been last night, where you had a race that looked like it was going to go its entire way. Now you have a stage in, almost there, and you have rain in the area.
Well, and Jeff, you know me, I love stats. I love numbers. The sample set is small. One race at Daytona with stages, but that sample set is batting 100%. At the end of both stages right here, final lap, stage 1, you see a major crash involving multiple cars towards the front. Once again, you come here, the end of stage 2, final lap, guess what? Same thing. You see the aggression show up. One ill-timed bump draft takes 2 cars up in the wall. Didn't catch quite as many cars, but heck, only half the field finished in February, Rick. So it's great to strategize for the end of stage 2, but sometimes survival is king. And I look at timing and scoring, and I see 89 laps to go. I see 59 laps to the end of stage 2. I'm thinking I'm going to keep track position, and I'm going to continue to try to keep my driver out of the mess, up in those front 2, 3, 4 rows, and just try to make it to the end of stage 2. You can't win it if you're in the garage.
What's so difficult about keeping that track position, as you said before, everybody's on different agendas. So if you stay on the track now, you're going to have to pit later when other people don't pit. So at some point, you may have to give up that track position.
And we have gone from a red flag condition to a yellow flag condition. Take a look at the playoff points as we are past the halfway point in the 2017 season. You see the bonus points for the drivers that have won. Justin Allgaier, William Byron, Ryan Reed. They have taken 3 of the 12 available spots in the playoffs.
Well, I think that's the key, Rick. 3. You know, the Xfinity Series, while Cup drivers do have some limitations on how much they can run, they are still dominating the wins in this series. So as we come to Daytona, a place that we have seen everyone or more teams have the opportunity to win, so many names on this list as we'll be looking at today is the chance to get their name highlighted as a guaranteed playoff spot.
And there's only 4 Cup drivers in today's race, so opportunity. Daytona, plate racing, we've seen winners come kind of out of the blue at Daytona. You have less Cup drivers. This is an opportunity for these Xfinity guys to get that win and move themselves into the playoffs.
So pit road is open. Anyone that wants to come to pit road can now and make any type of adjustments that they weren't able to make because of the red flag condition that lasted a little over 16 hours, by the way.
Yeah, and Rick, you know, we focused a lot on the car and how the car was prepared. Well, these crews weren't planning on staying the night. They were going to fly home last night after the race. So these teams had to make, accommodations, get them to stay. And normally, you get to see a little green flag racing. You get a little bit of the flow of the race before you have to jump over pit wall. Right here, one pace lap is all you get for preparation.
Yeah, they haven't warmed up as much as they would have. Maybe the adrenaline not there because they were still waiting to find out when the engines were going to be fired until about 10 minutes ago. So now you have a crew that is going to be expected to jump over the wall and do their very best. And they've only had about maybe 10 or 15 minutes to know that this is happening now.
Well, they have to do their very best today and perhaps later tonight. Just like drivers, a lot of pit crews have responsibility on cup cars as well, as we see the first car that pulls out of line to come down pit road.
And that was the 10th car back. Ty Dillon, he comes to pit road, but quite a few cars stay out even after Ty Dillon and Brendan Gaughan. Kelly.
And you see that Brendan Gaughan has elected to pit now under this caution. He said he wanted a hot and slick racetrack yesterday, so he told me today he's happy again. You see he's got some fresh tires there and fuel. Dave?
A number of drivers, crew chiefs told me that they would do the opposite of what the front of the field did. That's just what Ty Dillon's crew did here. Took him down pit road, got him in and out. There's William Byron in the 9 down as well.
Marty leaving pit road, Dave, with no fresh Goodyear tires and just Sunoco fuel only for William Byron, but several adjustments kind of to prepare for the day. That was a strategy by Dave Ellens. Let's make some big adjustments on this car because we're really set up more for the night. These adjustments will help us race better during the day.
There's the 9 of William Byron. And getting ready for the restart. Again, a little over 16 hours of a red flag condition after the rain postponed this race from a night race on Friday night to an afternoon race on a Saturday. And it will be a doubleheader day. And quite a few drivers will be doing double duty as well as the crews. So you can't discount the fact that it's not only just the drivers that are having to do potentially 2 races today, the crews as well.
And Rick, we talked last night about the unknown, the lack of practice, teams choosing not to run in a big pack. They got a little glimpse of it last night for only 11 laps, but now, Jeff, we're back.
Sorry if you don't want me talking over, you can go to other channels that we have in the description. I made this channel just so I can cast a race, just like the casters.
Turns 1 and 2, there have to be a lot of give and take towards the front.
Blake Cook, race leader, was able to choose. He has chosen the outside line for the restart.
17 laps to go to the end of the stage. Pace car is in. Here we go. How long are we going to stay green?
48 of Brennan Poole trying to help the 2 of Ben Kennedy along. Again, they can't lock bumpers, but they can bump.
And how long are we going to see double fire racing now that it's during the daytime?
Suarez bumping the 11 out in front of Ben Kennedy as they go 2 by 2 into turn 3. Now Blake Cook has
nice push from Suarez.
He drops to the bottom of the track.
You see the front mostly double file, but back in the back of the pack we see 3 wide. Those cars that came off pit road trying to get that track position back as quickly as possible.
And again, the end of stage 1 will be at lap 30. Just 16 laps to go for the end of stage 1. 15 of the 100 laps are complete.
3 wide.
To go in stage 1, we're going to see how aggressively Blake Cook wants to be. We're going to see how much he's willing to block to try to win this stage. The stage wins are really important if you make the playoffs. So Blake Cook has a decision to make. We talked about it over and over and over. We've seen these wrecks happen by drivers being too aggressive, but the only way you can win stages or race wins is to be aggressive.
That is a great shot as the cars come into turn number 3. You see the cars jockeying for position, trying to find openings where they can get in front of another car.
Well, so far so good.
are the key, Rick. We talk about track position. People aren't used to hearing that at restrictor plate races. But what we've learned, Jeff, is once the track clogs up, you can't go to the front, no matter how fast your car is. So there are only so many openings, only so much width to this racetrack.
Here comes Daniel Suarez in the 18, working that outside line. Suarez trying to get a little help from Ryan Reed in the 16 just behind him, as he noses just in front of Blake Cook now.
Well, Daniel Suarez told us last night during the red flag that he felt this is the best restrictor plate car he's ever had in the Xfinity Series. He's showing it early as he takes the lead.
Riding along with the Coca-Cola on board of Daniel Suarez, looking back at that 16 of Ryan Reed. Dave.
Rick, when we went back to green, the leaders were the 11 of Blake Cook, that white car on the bottom. Behind him, the 2 of Ben Kennedy. I talked with both of their crew chiefs while they were discussing what to do on that first pit stop. The 11 was adamant. Chris Rice told me, we are going to stay out. Too much bad can happen behind us in that pack. And as for Randall Burnett, he said, well, this could go 90 different ways. We don't know what we're going to do. Apparently, Chris convinced him they should stay out, and the 11 and the 2 still run in tandem right there.
And it looks as though Daniel Suarez is trying to help Ryan Reed a bit by staying up in his lane. They work together for Daniel Suarez to get out front. Now Suarez trying to stay up top, helping out the outside line, but here comes the 11 of Blake Cook.
Yeah, that's a nice strategy, since once in a while, after a moment, the top line starts to have an advantage, especially with lack of grip.
Where you run, I think it's going to get more difficult the further back you get, which is why I was a little surprised that Daniel Suarez wasn't trying to block. Because we know aerodynamically, the further back in the pack, it gets air off the car, makes the car drive worse. So I really believe, I'm very, very surprised they haven't been blocking more aggressively, but with only 13 to go in this stage in, we're going to start to see it.
Well, you talk about aggressive. One driver I expected to see aggression early, but we haven't really seen. It's the 22 of Joey Logano. Last night he said, hey, we kind of settled in on the bottom, couldn't really make any moves. Well, here he is on the outside, but he's still really staying in line, showing a lot of patience. He understands that even with a red flag, we're only 17 laps into this event. He's being very, very patient, not pushing the issue 3 wide.
But you mentioned the importance of track position. Where is he going to go? As long as there's nowhere to go in the middle to try to make the third lane in the middle, for him to jump on the outside would be very, very risky, because if the whole group doesn't go with you on the outside, you're going to the back. So track position matters, because if you wait too long, you can't get to the front, even if you have a fast race car.
And Jeff, I talked to Joey Logano about being aggressive early on. He said, I was kind of disappointed last night. Like he told us during the red flag, I wanted people to go, but I need people to go with me. Why does he run these Xfinity Series races with these restrictor plate races in the Xfinity Series? He told me the main reason, not for me, Tab Boyd, my spotter, because we get into a rhythm. We learn each other. We learn the communication. We learn the rhythm of how a restrictor plate race works. That helps us in the Cup Series races, and certainly on the same day, they're going to be in that mode when they run 400 miles tonight.
Let's listen in to Tab Boyd and the spotter communication.
2-1 currently clear down if you want, behind that 42. 9's trying to seal the gap. 20 is out of room. He's on the 16. Foot off of him. Now he's got a quarter car. Quarter car gap. On him. Dropped him out. 26 still sticking with you. 16's on the 18 there. Bounced him out. The 9 is inside behind the 9. The 14's trying to seal the gap. He went from top to bottom. Still down there, 2x2.
Well, that was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less. And one of the things that I was listening to is the calmness in Tab Boyd's voice. Really, he doesn't want to be too excited and get his driver too excited, because the driver already is feeling the anxiety and the intensity going around this track at almost 200 miles an hour in a bunch where he's literally feet away from the other cars.
I mean, you don't want to add to the agitation of the situation, but one thing that Tad Boyd really was focusing on there, Jeff, was trying to get this 22 to the bottom, because we've seen the bottom line is very organized now. This 18 car of Daniel Suarez, he was leading 5 laps ago. Now he's all the way back in the 10th position, he has done nothing. He's just followed in the same line he was in. But that bottom line is very organized.
Well, and that shows you. I know we keep talking about being aggressive, and I'm sure the fans at home are like, why would you be aggressive with 15 to go before a stage end? It's a long way to go in the race. Well, Daniel Suarez was not aggressive, did not block, did not aggressively try to keep the guys behind him. And look at where he's running. He drug that whole outside line back. So the reason plate racing makes you do things you don't want to do. You don't want to be blocking this early in the race, but if you don't, this is what happens, and you lose that track position.
Hey, Jeff, speaking of being aggressive, take note of that 7 car of Justin Allgaier. Yesterday, he got sent to the back after qualifying. They made some unapproved adjustments. Within 3 laps, he was all the way up to 17th place. The only reason he stopped moving forward was because his spotter, TJ Majors, came on the radio and said, stop, that's enough, we don't need to go any further. So when he came down pit road today, they took 4 tires, no adjustments, and within 3 laps, he was back in the top 15. He told me before the race yesterday, this place rewards aggressiveness. As you guys have mentioned, you can't sit in the back and find yourself driving through the field at the end of a run. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to find ways to move forward early in the run. Otherwise, you can get trapped back there, and that's exactly what the 7 car is doing right now.
So, Parker, you talk about aggressive. Well, look at the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. Remember, Brendan was one of those teams that pitted and put on 4 tires. He was in that bottom lane. He saw an opportunity to jump in front of Daniel Suarez and try to lead that outside lane, hopefully trying to get a push from Daniel to get himself to the front.
And right next to Brendan Gaughan, you see the 98 there of Casey Mears. This is a team that only runs limited races, but they've done it with success. They won at Talladega earlier this year with Eric Almirola behind the wheel, and they won this race a year ago. Casey told me he had good speed in the car last night. He said, I'd like to get to the front if I can, but some of these other drivers up front have been acting a little bit dicey. So if I don't find speed to get to the front, I might find a safe place instead. He's on that inside lane moving forward.
And Rick, I think it's a big advantage to have an experienced driver like Casey Mears. His opportunity at the cup level kind of dissolved. He had to find a different opportunity to get behind the wheel. When you talk about the rain out, the conditions, we've listed all of the things these drivers are going to have to deal with today. Well, here's a young man who has a lot of those, you know, has experienced that before, either at the cup level, the Xfinity level. He's experienced rainouts, experienced different track conditions.
As cars make their way through 1 and 2 and come out onto the backstretch, take a look at this vantage point. The bat cam goes from 0 to 100 in just over 2 seconds. We're going 100 miles an hour as they go 185 miles an hour past us.
They make 100 seem slow.
Yeah, amazing.
And that's really the key. The key is, and I'm guilty, as a crew chief in the garage watching lap after lap, race after race, you become numb to 195 miles an hour, and these drivers amaze us. They truly make it look slow because they do such amazing things behind the wheel, where they're racing inches apart, nose to tail, over 180, 190 miles an hour.
And again, the lead pack in line has now separated themselves. Marty.
Rick, you see Daniel Hemrick in that blue number 21 car. I had a chance to visit with Daniel and his crew chief, Danny Stockman, earlier this week. He said, listen, in the 2 restrictor plate races so far this year, we haven't made it to the first pit stop. We've wrecked so early in the races. My number 1 goal today, just finish a stage. I want to get through a stage. And Daniel's plan was, if I can stay up front, I want to run up front. If I can't, I'm just going to go to the back and ride. But my main goal, just finish all the laps here this afternoon at Daytona, Dave.
2 cars behind him in the blue and white 19. That is Matt Tiff. He's had a big week already, turned 21, but this is only his 26th race in the Xfinity Series, and very few on restrictor plate tracks. For that reason, they are having him rely heavily on his spotter, Chris Lambert. Crazy, as he called, has done this for a long time, and they're asking Matt not to overthink what Crazy tells him to do. Just react. Do what you're told.
React, do what you're told. By the way, you're going to do that at 190 miles an hour, and you have a split second to do it.
And the next decision is coming to 3 to go in this stage. Is someone going to get out of line? Is someone going to take the risk of trying to make a move and falling further back? We see we've all gone single file. The cars at the back of the single file line, there's nothing they can do. But a car in the middle of that pack, they can make a move and hope a line comes with them in order to improve their position. Who will take that chance?
Daniel Suarez, who was up front at the restart, now currently running 12th. He's at the back of this single file line. Will he opt to come to pit road before they close pit road with 2 laps to go? Should he? Because he's not running for points.
Well, he would have had to come the last time, because this time by coming to 2 to go, pit road will be closed when the leaders hit the start finish line. If you decelerate off turn 4, you won't make it to pit road in time. Remember, you keep saying 190 miles an hour. Those leaders continue at that speed. You have to get down to pit road speed. So right here, coming to 2 to go. Now the big question is, are they going to stay single file? We have continued to see last lap crashes in the stages. Both stages here in February, we saw an accident. We're inside of 2 to go right here. Will the leaders stay patient?
Pits are closed.
Let's see if someone pulls off offline.
Rick, you turned into a crew chief.
Sorry.
That's what some of them should have done. Some of them should have pit with 3 to go, come on pit road, gotten their 4 tires, and then been in front of everybody that pit under caution. That would have been the right strategy.
Hey guys, you guys are mentioning the off strategies, and I was just looking at the 24 car of Jeb Burton, who's currently in 8th, and you have to wonder, this is only his 3rd start in this car this year. He's only going to have 6 in total. This team doesn't care about stage points. Why wouldn't you take that risk, get on pit road, put yourself with, you know, maybe you're in the top 10, but find yourself in the lead come the next stage. I think they should have taken that chance if it was possible.
Parker, I think they are going to be in the lead, because right now they're the lead cars that came to pit road on lap 12, so they're going to stay out when this stage ends, and everybody else in front of them is going to come to pit road. So more than likely, Jeb Burton will be the race leader at the end of stage 1.
Absolutely, Rick. I agree, but here we go. We have caught a lap car, and we're starting to see a little bit of movement in that front pack. It's going to be interesting to see Ben Kennedy, Poole in the 48, Hemrick in the 21, the top 4 cars. This should change the momentum. Will one of them pull out a line to try to get this stage win?
Try to get the stage win and stage points. Top 10 get stage points as they come through 3 and 4. Out in front, it's Blake Cook, Ben Kennedy, Brennan Poole, Daniel Hemrick. They're the top 4 as they come to the stripe. And Blake Cook will win stage 1. That is the first stage win for Blake Cook.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is. Once the 10th car went across the finish line, the caution came out, and now pit road will be open so that these crews and teams can go to work. After stage 1, Blake Cook, the winner.
Run as fast as you can.
You can't catch me, I'm a gingerbread man.
It will be mine.
Feeling the pressure, but you know I ain't stressing. Every day is a blessing, so I'm just gonna keep pressing. They say I am the greatest.
I've got it now. Introducing an all-new crossover. Toyota CHR. Toyota, let's go places.
Introducing Cologuard.
I'm here for an important reason. Colon cancer screening. If you're age 50 or older and at average risk, Cologuard finds cancer and precancer. And it's a non-invasive test you can use at home. In fact, I'm as easy as get, go, gone. How do you get me? Your doctor orders me, and I'm delivered directly to your doorstep. There's no need for time off or special prep because I use the DNA in your stool to find colon cancer. Then you just go. I mean, collect your sample. Then I'm gone. Just ship me to the lab. Gotta go.
Cologuard is intended for individuals at average risk for colon cancer. Cologuard is not for high-risk individuals, including those with a history of colon cancer or polyps, IBD, certain hereditary cancer syndromes, or a family history of colon cancer. Cologuard, colon cancer screening that's as easy as get, go, gone. Ask your doctor if Cologuard is right for you.
Jay's back.
Once a racer, always a racer.
You never know who he's gonna meet.
Good, let's take it out. I'll drive.
Jay's living the dream. Jay Leno's Garage, Wednesdays at 10, CNBC.
Celebrate Independence Day by saving big money during Menards 4th of July sale. Finish your projects
Salve
quickly with
Borborema!
Loctite.
E aí,
This
beleza?
heavy-duty construction adhesive has a 0-second instant grab. A 9-ounce tube is $1.99 after rebate. Brighten your home with Cooper lighting. This dusk to dawn security light has a bronze finish and is $14.99. This plug-in halogen security light has motion detection and includes an 8-foot cord. $17.99 now during Menards 4th of July sale.
Well, racing ain't the same during the day. At least not today. Let's see after their pit stop with some car adjustments and newer tires. People will be more aggressive on the restart now that they know that after a little while everything gets single file. So you gotta do what you gotta do when you have the chance.
Since 1936.
Stage 1 is complete. The winner, Blake Cook, comes to pit road for left side tires. That's also the call for the second place car of Ben Kennedy. They'll leave together.
Same call for Daniel Hemrick. He took left side tires as well, Dave. Meanwhile, the 48 of Brennan Poole taking right side tires. He said this car is definitely moving around a lot more as the car about spins out on pit road. Everybody leaving pit road right now, Rick.
Yeah, William Byron had his hands full just getting out of his pit stall. Got sideways. The West Palm Beach, Florida native Blake Cook winning pit stage number 1. He comes out second.
If they sold these pretzel dogs at the stadium, that would really class up the joint. Getting a hot dog on a premium pretzel bun with melted cheese sauce and crispy bacon here.
Now, what kind of cheese you say?
Melted cheese sauce here.
Any other toppings on that one?
Just that crispy bacon here.
So you're telling me I can get a hot dog on a premium pretzel bun with melted cheese sauce and crispy bacon?
Absolutely.
Oh, no thanks. I already got one.
The summer's biggest hit is the premium pretzel dog. And get half-price shakes and ice cream slushes after 8 p.m. This is how you Sonic.
Today we're out here with some big news about type 2 diabetes. You have type 2 diabetes, right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. How does diabetes affect your heart?
It doesn't, does it?
Actually, it
I
does.
don't wanna care. Shut up. Let me show you something better. Here. Senchu. This race in Thailand has a crash on the start, and then you'll see the Porsche pileup on
the tail end of the
the MSA.
And that will provide, contact, big contact, that's taken out Kasiri. That's taken out a number of cars. This is devastating on the rundown to turn 1. They didn't even get 100 metres off a number of cars.
Once
and
again.
He stalled and dropped back behind his brother to the tail end of the top 10. And that will provide, contact, big contact, that's taken out Kasiri. That's taken out a number of cars. This is devastating.
And did you guys saw what happened on the MSA? Here, let me show you. 440. Well,
Straight through.
Yes.
It looks like a drive-through.
Now, what's interesting about that to me is that I was told before the start that he was going to start from the back because...
McKay Snow, Anthony Imperato, Corey Fergus, Michael De Quesada. It's behind those first two. Well, okay, it was the issue.
It was Fidani, it was Rossetti and Estep that got
together, and then it's a chain reaction.
Yeah, and several cars directly behind him managed to get through remarkably.
Side-by-side contact with the first two, and everybody from 7th or 8th down is involved after that, and how anybody gets through, I don't know. Ariel Fidani got partially through. The 50 car gets through with damage underneath. And it's right at the top of the S's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just you're coming out.
Hill. Just at the crest of the hill there, I think, probably, isn't it?
First two go in, drivers left, and then there's a chain reaction. There's a chance for somebody to get through. It's a white, mainly white car that lost it sideways. Was that the 34? Was that further back? And there's still people piling in at full speed. I think the problem as well there, Jeremy, is it's between flag stations. And you're coming up over the top.
up some track position. They're back to 9th. But Allgaier, Annette, and Custer, the front 3 cars we see, the last time they were on pit road is lap 12. We'll have to see how their handling is compared to these other cars fresh off pit road.
And will they have enough fuel to get all the way to the end of stage 2? That's one of the big questions. A lot of crew chiefs are saying there's a potential for rain that might shorten this race again.
I think without a doubt they have enough fuel, or they would have been on pit road right then.
Green flag back in the air, back to racing. Justin Allgaier.
Estamos de volta em bandeira verde. Here we go again.
Surging that outside line.
How long are you going to see people double file?
Michael Annette in the 5. Hugging the double yellow line at the bottom of the track, and Justin Allgaier jumped down there in front of Annette.
You see Joe Logano looking 3 wide already. We saw a very organized first stage, but with weather in the area and the end of stage 2 perhaps being the finish of this race, I think the politeness is over. You already see more aggression out of the front row.
And there Ben Kennedy moved up the racetrack to stay in front of the 7 and the 48, but Brennan Poole makes that outside line work, had a little bit of a shove there. Took advantage of it, and now he'll get another one. We'll see if he can clear the 2 and get down to the bottom of the racetrack. He does clear the 2. Will he wait and try to help the 3 of Ty Dillon also clear that lower line?
Now the question is, what does the 48 do? We saw earlier that Suarez was very hesitant to go to the bottom and block. The 48 doesn't. He's going to lose the lead right here to the 3 because of his hesitation.
In front of everybody.
Takes advantage of that hesitation. Gets in front of the lower line, but still that high line is moving. Brennan Poole now getting a little help from the 42 of Tyler Reddick.
You can just feel the energy, see the energy. The cars are dancing around, they're moving around. 2 wide has turned into 3 wide.
All these drivers now know weather is in the area. They've been cautions
come out.
Oh, man.
And the caution has come out for weather. I may have seen a flash of lightning just moments ago. That's one of the things that will cause one of these races if it's within 8 miles of the track. NASCAR wants to err on the side of caution and safety. And so the caution has come out.
Well, Steve, you said it. 2 wide turn, all of a sudden turn into 3 wide. So, you know, all these teams and drivers, they now have in their mind this race is going to end in 24 laps with all this rain in the area. And we started hearing communications from crew chiefs to drivers saying, hey, it's coming. You got to step it up. You got to find a way to make speed. And the minute you hear that as a driver, you know what your job is. You've got to go get yourself to the front.
Let's listen into the 11 audio of Blake Cook. By the way, there was a lightning strike in the area, and so that is why the caution has come out. But listen into the 11 audio.
We got a race. We got a race here. We're racing the lap 60, okay? Make smart, aggressive moves, but don't get yourself in trouble. Go rain in 25 minutes. That might give us enough time to get to the next segment, okay? I still think the bottom lane's gonna go.
Smart, aggressive moves, Steve.
I like that. I like that term.
So again, within 8 miles, if there's a lightning strike, they will tell the fans, the spectators, to please clear the grandstands. These are large metal grandstands, but they will also tell the spotters to come off of the spotter stand, which is on top of this building. So with no spotters, they can't race.
Absolutely, and it can be frustrating, without a doubt, to have a dry racetrack. Everyone wants to race, but you have to applaud the sanctioning body. That's their responsibility. They can't be race fans. Right. They have to orchestrate this event in a safe manner. And this is, as we are all smarter. We've seen unfortunate situations with lightning in the past, and it's very dangerous. We all know Mother Nature really is in charge, so the best thing we can do as we get smarter is respect it and stop the cars on pit road.
And the racetrack is put up on the big boards. They tell everybody, hey, get out of the grandstands, go get yourself in a safe location. You can see what's coming.
That's fairly ominous.
Yeah, this is going to take a while.
Dry, but in the interest of the fans, the spotters, think about all the people in the infield. You've got to give them an opportunity to get out of the storm's way.
And of course, our crew does a fantastic job each and every day. They work tireless hours, and we want to make sure that our crew is safe as well. So our camera operators that are up above on top of the grandstands, we've asked them to come down so that they aren't in harm's way. And all of the cars now being brought to pit road.
Rick, they make that look easy, because I've tried to run one of them, and I can't keep a car on the backstretch in frame, more or less the car on the front stretch.
Whoa.
Look at this. Again, local time approaching 1 o'clock, but it's looking dark to our west, so that's behind us moving in our direction. But again, it's pop-up showers in this area quite frequently.
And Rick, I know we were going to have a great race for the next 23 laps trying to get to the end of stage 2, and this is unfortunate to stop, but the racing was so good. I'm okay to see all 100 laps. If we have to let a shower come through to get these cars back to green flag racing, we saw some aggression early by some young drivers. Joey Logano, that you and I, Jeff, both thought was going to go up and lead this pack. He hasn't got really inside the top 5.
Look at how dark it is. That's how big these clouds are that are coming through the area. The teams are going to cover the cars up in case that shower does come out. They don't want to have any more issues with not only the air cleaners, the air box, but also the drivers' comfort things that are inside the car, the radio and different things. They want to make sure those electronics are covered up as well.
I think it's pretty telling that we had cars on pit road that had pitted earlier in the race. When the stage end came, they came down pit road. That tells me that the crew chiefs are truly concerned about handling. The crew chiefs in this temperature, this heat, really believe that the cars are going to have to handle well. If we were at Talladega, that would have never happened. Those cars would have never been on pit road because handling isn't an issue there. So that's a very telling to me, not only for today, but for tonight's race as well.
And again, an official race, it's not official until the end of the second stage. And so that means that they will have to race at least until lap 60 before this is an official race. On the other side of the break, Krista, Kyle, and DJ will be here to explain what's happening and what we can expect for the rest of the day.
He gets a lot of compliments. He wears his army hat, walks around with his army shirt looking all nice. And then people just say, "Thank you for serving our country." And I'm like, that's my dad.
No one deserves a warmer welcome home. That's why we're hiring 10,000 members of the military community.
I'm very proud of him.
Welcome to New Beginnings. Comcast.
If they sold these pretzel dogs at the stadium, that would really class up the joint. Getting a hot dog on a premium pretzel bun with melty cheese sauce and crispy bacon here.
Now, what kind of cheese you say?
Melty cheese sauce here.
Any other toppings on that one?
Just that crispy bacon here.
So you're telling me I can get a hot dog on a premium pretzel bun with melty cheese sauce and crispy bacon?
Absolutely.
Oh, no thanks. I already got one.
The summer's biggest hit is the premium pretzel dog. And get half-price shakes and ice cream slushes after 8 p.m. This is how you Sonic.
That's it, baby. Put it to the wood. You'll get it.
You don't need sunlight or wide open spaces. You don't need 4 wheels. Actually, you don't need any wheels. You don't need a lot of time. You don't even need gravity. All you need is an engine and Sunoco fuel.
That is a bit of an ominous view over Daytona International Speedway. We're in store for a doubleheader today. Xfinity Series racing washed out last night. Got a handful of laps. This first stage in, 37 laps in. Thunder and lightning overhead. And the grandstands have been cleared. The message went on the Jumbotron there at 12:49 that he needed to clear the stands. So welcome, Chris Devoto alongside Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett. Getting a little double duty for us as well so we can get you guys through this weather delay and get you back to racing. So we know this can happen. I mean, you guys know as drivers, this was just sort of something that was in your, I guess, your Rolodex when you come to Daytona in July, that weather could be an issue.
It's what you always knew you could have to deal with. Never fun. These drivers wanted to, they kind of got in a rhythm here today and run enough laps to get through that first stage. And looked like we were getting ready for some exciting racing because they were already 3 wide as they started this second part. But, you know that. And so you just deal with it. There's nothing you can do about this part of it. But I'm glad that I was able to come. My mom always made me go to the hallway whenever we saw stuff like this. So I got in here. It looks like it's safe.
Yeah, and we know. If you play outside, you're going to get wet.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just the way it is. I will say this. NASCAR has instituted so many safer policies for the race car and for the teams. This is for the fans. I mean, it is lightning around here. There's thunder. There's weather. Used to, when Dale and I were growing up, like he said, our moms would come out in the infield, grab us, and throw us in a car, and that's just so we wouldn't get wet. That's not so we wouldn't get struck by lightning. That's just so we wouldn't get wet. Now, NASCAR, they put it up. They send out a text. They do so many things to keep the fans, to warn the fans to come inside. There's inclement weather. They stop the race so the fans are not sitting out there thinking they're missing out on something. So NASCAR, you got to give a tip of the hat to NASCAR for this call.
And the good news, when you're in Central or South Florida, the storms come and the storms move out. So very good chance that we'll be back racing once again. Again, it's not. I mean, it's the clouds and the thunder and the lightning that have delayed things right now. So the stands have been cleared. There is no racing. So we're going to be with you to talk about what we have coming up later today. Remember, there's the main event. The main event, by the way, is not mixed martial arts like it was last night. I think the Decagon is gone.
The Decagon is gone, and the next storm to pass through here will be called Dale, and it'll come later tonight at 7 or 7:30. I think it's Tropical Storm Dale or 88, whatever you want to number it, whatever it is.
Because again, if you've been under a rock, I guess, the last couple of days, Dale Earnhardt Jr. making what is being billed as his final race at Daytona. Now, he said he's coming back next year for some Xfinity Series racing. I mean, he's on the pole, and he kind of joked a little bit about the fact they said, "Hey, will you come back for the Clash?" And he said, "I've got to talk to the boss." I think he said, "I got to see what the boss has in the shed."
Okay.
Was his exact word.
Is that Rick Hendrick or Amy now?
Yeah,
well, there you go.
Yeah, he's got a couple of different ones there now. But, yeah, we don't know what he has in store, but we know how big tonight is for him in looking to his final season. We know it's his final full season in the Monster Energy Cup Series. And so he wants to be a part of the playoffs. And, this isn't the only opportunity he's going to have, but it's his best opportunity to go to victory lane, certainly. He's the favorite here tonight. Before he sat on the pole, he was the favorite coming in here. He has the most wins, the most experience. He's the best person in the draft that will be in this 40-car field tonight.
Yeah, and as Dale said, I think all we really know is, like he says, this is his last full season at this level, at the top level. Dale made some interesting comments talking to our Dale Jarrett, where he said one last time. One last time. That's something that he wants to experience right here. You see the 88 in the grass right there, but that's something he wants to experience at this racetrack where he's had so much success as one last time to stand in that victory lane.
Well, and you see, I mean, this is the fans' reaction yesterday when Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the pole for qualifying. I mean, what did you say they had the big renovation project here at Daytona a couple of years ago, Daytona Rising?
Yeah, I said it's Daytona Rising, but it'll be burning Daytona down if he wins this thing is what it's going to be, and they're going to have to do it again. But, I mean, he was excited. You see him get out of the car. You saw he had a little pep in his step. I mean, as he took these pictures for the pole award, he was talking to the people that were behind him in the photos. I mean, he's just...
Including our Marty Stuckert.
Yeah, but he's just a different person when he comes to Daytona. And when he has that success at Daytona, he's a totally different person.
Yeah, and we heard some comments from him yesterday, too, about being in practice on Friday in the draft, that with a new tire and these cars with the lower downforce, that he was a little concerned about things. I think his concern is about other people. He was glad that he got out and did enough drafting to understand they needed to make some changes, because he loves to run this race, but he likes it to where his race car he can be aggressive with. The past few years, we've seen him actually spin out because the car wasn't underneath him as he tried. He wasn't even trying to make moves then. But if you're going to race hard tonight and you're going to race to the point that you can try to win, that's going to take a good handling car, something you feel like you can make moves in a split-second decision. So he's a little concerned, I think, for others. So if he can stay out front, that keeps him away from others that may be having difficulties.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, as Dale said. It's not that he's concerned for where he's at. I think he knows where his car's at. I think he feels pretty confident. I mean, he made the comment, we came down here and did race runs and worked on that, and here we are on the pole. That kind of surprised him, kind of surprised the team where they're at. So he feels like he's got speed. He feels like he's comfortable in the car. He's worried a little bit about others, as Dale says. So he wants to be out front. So if you can run in those top 2 or 3, those top 3 or 4, chances are you're going to have a good night. If you can run in the very last 3 or 4, about a half a track behind everybody, chances are you're going to be. But when you get caught in that pack, and you have to start making moves, and you have to do things, and you see that guy in front of you, and he's sawing on that wheel, or he's fighting to keep his car under him, that's not where Dale wants to be.
Well, I'm glad you said the word aggressive, because when Dale Earnhardt Jr. spoke to the media after winning the pole, that was the word he kept using, saying in order to be good here, in order to have, do what you need to do, make moves, create moves, you need to be able to be aggressive. And Chase Elliott was asked, is Dale different? Is he kind of carrying himself different here, more worried or concerned? Chase Elliott said, I think it's determined. The word he used was he's more determined. And Dale Jr. said, I want my car to be perfect. It doesn't, and it doesn't need to be good. It doesn't need to be great. It needs to be perfect.
Yeah, and that's hard to accomplish something like that and get that feel. But because of the racing changing over the years, as the box got smaller as far as what these teams could do for their drivers to gather speed and to make their cars drive good at the same time, then that put all the cars closer together, running the same speed more. So that puts an emphasis on being aggressive and understanding what you're doing if you get to the finish of this. So Dale Jr. understands that as good as anyone else. And so to be able to do that and do the things that he knows he's capable of doing as a driver, he has to have his car to be a certain way to make sure that he's able to do all of that.
Yeah, and Dale can speak to this, and anybody that's ever sat in a race car can speak to it. You look for a feel, and it's hard for a driver to explain to these fans or to your crew chief sometimes what that feel is you're looking for. Now, if I believe and if I go by what it says on the grass down there, 88-17 victories, he knows what it feels like to find that perfection and to find that feel. So I'm going to listen to Dale Jr. when he starts telling me what he's looking for in that car, because he knows what he's looking for. And yes, he does want it perfect, but he understands if I get it really close, I know what I need. I've been in these situations before. I can make something happen.
Those 17 wins, all forms of racing here at Daytona, the most of anyone in the field. Only Tony Stewart and Dale Jr.'s father, Dale Earnhardt Sr., had more wins at this track. So again, if you're just joining us to recap, we are Xfinity Series racing under a bit of a weather delay. They were able to complete stage 1, which was the first 30 laps of the race. We're currently at lap 37. They need to get to lap 60 to be considered an official race at the end of stage 2. What are all these stages? Again, if you're new, well, Rutledge Wood explains it to us.
Okay, girls, so there are new race and points enhancements for 2017, so I thought I'd just explain it. Let's start at the beginning. You know there's a race, right? A beginning and an end. Well, now there's actually 3 different parts. Segment 1, Segment 2, and Segment 3. Now here's where it gets wild. Top 10 in each of these 2 get a little bonus point, comes out later in the playoffs.
What's a bonus point?
Millie, think of it this way. A bonus point is like when you forget that you had an extra piece of candy in your backpack and then you find it in your backpack in the bus on the way home. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, I totally forgot about you. Yes, Elsie.
Go Dale.
Yes, go Dale indeed. Yes, Millie.
Where's Danica?
Hopefully in the lead. So, top 10, get a little point, top 10, get a little point. Everybody gets points, segment 3. And like always, if you win, you're in.
Win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never live it up.
And every time I step up in the building, everybody's hands go up.
And they stare up, down, up, down, up, down.
Okay, does everybody understand now?
No, I don't get it.
Okay, it's like, imagine there's a birthday cake, but only 10 people get a piece. No, that doesn't. You know, there's like that cup that's like pennies for everyone. That's a terrible analogy. It's like we're taking a bowl of popcorn. So you know when someone gets like a really big sandwich for a party? It's like having a little bit of popsicle and then a little bit more. Okay. You know what? We'll get there. Daddy's got this. Okay. Let's say you win segment 1. Ta-da! I'm a winner. I won segment 1. Look what I've got. It's cool, right? It's worth something. It's neat. You can't do a whole lot with it, right? If you win segment 2, see, now we've got something. See, now it's starting to look really cool. But wait, that's not it, because you want to win segment 3 for all the marbles, because if you win, you're going to the playoffs. See, now you put it all together and it really looks like you've done something. So that's it, girls. Does that make more sense now?
Yeah!
And guess what? If you can juggle all these segments, get to the playoffs and win as many of those as you can, guess what that means?
Rutledge getting a little help from his daughters, Elsie, Millie, and Hattie. I like how little Hattie was the only one who understood it.
Yes, she is. And don't feel sorry for those little girls. They have a wonderful mother. Her name's Rachel. And she keeps all 4 of those kids we saw in that section. But that was a great explanation on how it was. That was really good. I'm not sure that I won't rut explaining to anybody else's kids what's going on, but that was pretty exciting.
I don't know. I'm 60, and it helped me a lot. I perfectly understand now.
The candy in the backpack got me.
All the food references I'm good with. Yes, I'm perfect.
So again, stage racing in all 3 of NASCAR's series. We are Xfinity Series racing. We're going to hear from some Xfinity Series drivers when we come back.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is on.
It's gonna work, I promise you. We can figure this out.
A little help?
Hold on, Mom. No, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi. It's not a question, it's a thing.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Now with summer's hottest offer. Get 0% for 72 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. During the Ford Summer Sales Event, get 0% for 72 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Offer ends July 5th.
Introducing Cola.